What up, what up, what up? This is Eric LeGrand, and I want to welcome you to our new podcast, A Cup of bELieve. We are going to dive into some of the biggest stories in sports and entertainment and allow them to use this platform to share overcoming adversity stories and also where they draw their belief from. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and listen to all audio platforms.
Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my
Mike, I want to first off thank you so much for being our first guest on a Cup of bELieve podcast. This is something that I've been thinking about for some months now, and I wanted to really create a platform where people can share their initiatives on things that they're working on right now, but also be able to talk about some trials and tribulations of their life that they either went through or they may be going through right now, and be able to create that platform for this. But for you to spare some time for it to be our first guest on here, I'm truly grateful. So welcome, Michael Strahan, to A Cup of bELieve podcast.
Thank you, man. And Eric, I got all the love and respect for you, man. And I've known you for years now. You call, I'm there. Plus, I love a good cup of bELieve, baby. Got to believe, right?
That's
That's what
right.
life is about.
That's right. That's right. And Mike, I know you're working on many projects and you have a great team around you, obviously being a football player like myself. We know what it's like having a team around us and relying on them to get the job done. But I would love to talk about some of the projects that you are working on now. And if you would love to tell our viewers and share some things that you're working on that you really want to get out there.
Well, I got so much stuff that I do. It kind of blows my mind when someone said, "Well, what about this?" And people will start talking to me about all these different things, and I get exhausted hearing it because I'm like, "There's no way one person should be able to do all that stuff." But then I realize the reason I'm able to do it is because I have a great team of people. Like you said, being a football player, you're so used to being around a team, and I have a great team that helps me. And for me, of course, every day I'm on Good Morning America. Then on weekends, Sundays, Fox NFL Sunday, we have the $100,000 pyramid. I have my production company, Smack, and we have our clothing company, Collection by Michael Strahan. And then a few months ago, we launched our skincare company, and it's Michael Skin by it's called michaelstrahanskin.com. You can go find it there. But we're in CVS, we're in Rite Aid, we are online at michaelstrahanskin.com. And it's been interesting, man, to have all these different businesses. For me, it's like having a clothing business because it's been organic to my life, as far as like dressing every day in suits and ties, and to be able to share, I guess, my personal style with everyone out there, and now to be able to share my skincare and routine, which a lot of men. I don't know about you, Eric, but your skin looking good, man. But we kind of neglect our skin. I feel like we just throw some soap on it and move on about our day. And for me, wearing makeup for work and being a football player and having your helmet on with all that sweat, I had to find something that worked for me, and I created this line that is for all men, not just minorities or African American men, but for all men. And I'm very proud of that. So that is the latest project that I've been working on.
Well, first off, I'm gonna have to try some of that because a lot of people don't realize I have a lot of dry skin, and I love to take a lot of preparation into my skincare, so we can go out there and look as good as we want to look. So I
It's
do
confidence,
appreciate
man.
you coming. Exactly, you're creating something like that. I was wondering, obviously, I'm happy that you are talking about skincare and the routine because being on TV, as you mentioned, wearing the makeup every single day, taking it off, people don't realize what it takes to get ready for a preparation of a show. Can you explain a little bit about that, being able to get to the studio at a certain time, going through that whole routine with the makeup before people actually see you come on live on TV?
Yeah, people think everybody like Beyonce. I woke up like this. I woke up like I just looked in the mirror before I came down here, and I'm like, "Is this the same guy from TV without the makeup?" What? But yeah, it is a routine, and I think that's the whole thing about it. And you dress well, right? You feel good. You have confidence. You put on a good, clean something. You got a little swag to you. And I think on top of that, having clean skin and nice skin is another level of confidence for me, at least. And I just want to convey that to more men, but also do it in a way that it's quick steps. It's not a long process. It's as fast as it's quicker than brushing your teeth. And so what we've done is we've teamed up with a company called EBN, Evolved by Nature. and everything is paraben free. It's cruelty free. That all the packaging is recyclable, and we've just done as much as we can with this what we call activated silk technology. And so what the activated silk technology is, it pulls out the dirt and impurities, but it keeps the moisture. And I think for me, being a guy, I have the face wash, we have the moisturizer, we have the beard oil, which I need to get you some, get that beard nice, yeah,
Little
get the
soft,
beard
little
right.
soft.
Yeah, the face wash and the aftershave balm, man, and the clear shaving balm. And the clear shaving balm I did because you're shaving, you can't see the lines. Like I need to mess around, have one line down here and one up there. So we thought through everything as well as we could. And I just love creating things that start with what I need for myself that I'm able eventually to share with other people out there. And I think that's it. I didn't realize being an athlete how creative I was because I was just more focused on playing the game of football the best of my ability. And now to be able to have businesses outside of that that allow me to go to that creative side and be a builder is fascinating. It's thrilling, and there's nothing, as you know, like being on a football field.
There's nothing like being on that football field, and I would love for you to share about that transition from being a football player, obviously going into your business life, finding different ways that you can still get that adrenaline rush of being on a football field, preparing for a game all week long, and creating your own clothing line, which you did let me, use one of your suits a few years back where I got to take a young lady to the prom who has cerebral palsy, and that was an amazing experience. I got to look good doing it, inviting her to the prom and whatnot. But talk a little bit about that transition from being an athlete and that preparation going into that on a daily basis to now living your life and using those same methods and techniques that you learned on the football field into your regular life.
Well, if you need to look clean, come to me, man. I got you anytime. But it's funny because I look back to my football life and I wonder what did prepare me. But I found that there's so many similarities in football and in life and in business. And it's about, collaboration. It's about teamwork. It's about unselfishness. Um, and about hard work. Like all those things throughout whatever you do in your life never change, no matter if it's sports or whatever it may be. And I think in football, I learned all those things. Plus, I learned how to handle pressure. I learned how to stay positive no matter what is going on. And I think that's another positive thing. And I've also learned to value people. And those are the two things that I've used to at post football to build a life and to build another career is to focus on making and letting other people know that I appreciate them, that I value them, and that they're part of a team, and that you don't work for me. We work together. I don't work for you. We work together. And I think I'm doing those things that definitely help my career. I think, Eric, being nice to people, it's underrated. I am no smarter than anybody walking the street. I'm no smarter than the thousands of football players that came before me and who will come after me by any means. But I think being nice to people, having a unique and genuine interest in people,
Yes.
and having a genuine interest in life after football has been all the difference for me. And you can't be afraid to be curious. Don't be ashamed to be curious. Don't be ashamed to make a mistake. Don't be ashamed to fail. That's part of the learning process. And it's funny, most people look and they go, Michael played football, he went to the Hall of Fame. That was enough good stuff for him. Man, look what he's doing now. It must have been seamless. And it was far from seamless. I have done so many things that have failed. I've done so many things that I've been frightened to even start because I feel like it's out of my wheelhouse. But then once I jumped into those things, I started to realize that, man, I actually know a little bit or a lot more about these things than I thought I did. I just didn't give myself a chance. And I think that's where a lot of people never give themselves a chance to start something that they don't know. They might be great at, but just can't be afraid to kick it off. And that's kind of been my journey. I try different things, not afraid to fail. If it fails, I learn from it and I move on, and then we're on to the next thing.
See,
What
I'm
about you?
glad you said that about failure because getting into the coffee business, something I had no idea about before August of 2020,
Yep.
and then starting to learn about it and surround myself with people that were smarter than me that could educate me through the process actually helped me out a lot in this. And I still each and every day, it's a 7-day operation owning a brick and mortar location. I stress
Yep.
all the time, making sure we're making payroll. I got to pay rent this month, our supplies. People see stuff on
Hmm.
social media and they're like, "Oh wow, everything is great, Eric," and this is going forward. Like this is really look like it's a success. But there's a whole lot of people behind it that make it, run each and every day that I have to rely on. And I know someone that you rely on, that you work with on a daily basis, is our girl Constance. Talk about working
Yeah.
with her and being able to grow your business, obviously Smack Entertainment, but being able to have her in your life for all these years now to help elevate your career.
Well, I've known Constance Schwartz for almost, I want to say, 30 years. We were both babies at the NFL. I'll call it, even though that kind of dates us right there, saying 30 years ago. But she was like, has always been like my sister. Has always been my biggest champion. And she left the NFL after 10 years and went off to LA to do other things and work in the music business and do branding and marketing and start her own company. And but we always stayed in touch. And when I retired, I would go to the office. I would always sit in there and listen to what they were doing and throw my 2 cents in it. And I think she got sick of hearing me come in and disrupt their meetings and always have an opinion. That she said, if you're gonna be a part of it, then join, be a partner in the company, so I don't have to hear your mouth. Like either you're gonna say something, have some skin in the game. And without hesitation, I said yes. And that has been one of the highlights of my life is being able to have a business partner who gets me, who believes in me, and one who I can lean on and who can lean on me. And we built Smack into more than I think that we ever imagined. And we just had our Christmas party, and I'm looking at a picture of our team and kind of just our New York team, because we have an office in LA as well. And I'm thinking, who in the world would ever thought we would have this many people working with us? And who would have ever thought that, the responsibility of this many people would fall on us? And but it's been a great run, producing great projects. Also working with our clients. I mean, Deion Sanders, been an amazing
Prime
client,
time,
Snoop
baby.
Dogg. Yeah, Wiz Khalifa, Aaron Andrews, and even when Aaron Andrews worked for me at Fox, to not only go from broadcasting but to build a clothing business around her. Snoop, we just filmed a movie with Snoop that had concerts in Atlanta for 2 months. So we have just been a hustling company. With our motto is hustle like you're broke. We work hard, and there is no substitute for hard work. And if there is, then please show me, because I would like to take a little easy sometimes. But I realize that doesn't get me anywhere if I do.
Absolutely. And in regards to your journey so far in life, can you reflect on some of the mistakes that you've made along the way, and lessons that you've learned from the mistakes that help you go forward now, to say, you know what, I'm not going to make that mistake again?
Well, I think there's several things that I've learned. One, I remember when I first retired, Eric, and I was doing some stuff, and I almost felt like every time I walked into a room, no one was taking me seriously because they just saw me as the football player, you know. And maybe that was true. Maybe it was just my own perception. But I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, if you don't change the fact that you see yourself that way, no one else will see you any other way. And I was like, oh, you're right. So I stopped thinking of myself in the past tense of, yeah, I'm a football player. Like, oh, I was a football player. I don't even think about that. To be honest with you, I almost forget that I even played football unless I see something, because I have so many other things going on and my life has taken so many different turns. But I just think taking myself out of one situation when it was over and completely changing my mindset to be in the mindset of what I'm doing now. Get out of the past, live in the present. But also, when you're living in the present, trust yourself. Biggest thing for me was trusting myself. I remember doing a show when I first left Fox. I mean, I just left the NFL on Fox, called Brothers. And there were some things that I didn't trust myself. I leaned on other people to do because they had been in the business longer. I felt like they know what they're talking about, even though inside I kind of felt maybe you should have gone that way. And ever since that experience, I trust myself because at the end of the day, if something's great, I'm going to get the credit. Michael Strahan, he's so great. Look at what he does. It's always working. But if it's a failure, I'm going to get the failure part of it too. Oh, Michael, he sucked. That fell apart, man. He needs to go back to the drawing board. But if I don't put in the effort, either way, I'm gonna be upset if I'm getting blamed for something that's awful that I did not put my best effort and didn't trust myself on because it's on me. And then I'm gonna feel awful if I'm getting credit for something I never really put much into either because I'm stealing from somebody else's creativity and someone else's credit. So I'm a believer in doing everything I can and working as hard as I can at everything that I'm in and trusting my gut so that I can feel better and good about it at the end of the day because I know it's exactly what I felt like I needed to do to be a success.
Yeah, I always tell people when you lay down your head on that pillow at night, if you know you gave it your all at whatever it was, you should be able to sleep at ease, knowing that, hey, you know what, I put my best
Absolutely.
effort out there to make this happen. And I want to dive into football. Obviously, we're both football players and that journey and that brotherhood that we both share. Obviously, you played at the highest level and all your accolades, but no matter what, when you strap up that helmet, we all have that respect for each other playing the game, man. You
Yep.
played for a long time, Mike, here in New York. I want you to reflect on your career, how you saw people have success, injuries along the way, but you were able to stay healthy and be able to produce for the New York Football Giants here, and what that brings on a daily basis, that pressure, the media, just knowing what it is like here in New York City. Tell me a little bit about that pressure, being able to stay healthy and be able to lead the New York Football Giants.
Well, I think I was relatively healthy compared to most guys. I mean, in my 15-year career, I've only had three surgeries, one major, and the other two, well, two kind of major. I tore my pec in year 12, I want to say, and then I hurt my thumb one year and had to have that after the season. Had to have that fixed, and I had my wrist scope. So 15 years, three surgeries. I got off easy, I feel, but it was tough. The part about playing in New York, and you see a lot of guys who play other places, then they come to New York, and what happens? They go from being a great player somewhere else, and they come here, and they just don't work out. I think the pressure is different here. The expectations are different here because every day you need to be great. And I learned that every game and every day I'm not going to be great, but you have to be consistent. And your level of consistency has to be above good. Got to be as close to great as it can be. But every day is not going to be great. Just be consistent to the point of where your teammates, the fans, everyone knows that when you show up, this is what you're going to give them. And the tough part is dealing with the media. One day you win a game, you're on the cover of the greatest thing ever. Yeah. The next day, the next week you lose, you're on the cover of the paper as the worst player of football team ever. And the emotional roller coaster is the hardest part because it's like doing a business deal or you go to work, you work really hard all week on something, and the crescendo is the meeting you have on that Sunday and the meeting the bust. We've all felt at work, but how many people have had to read about it and hear about it all week long about how bad they are at their job? It's tough here in New York. But at the same time, that's what I appreciated about it because I knew if I can make it here, as Sinatra said, you make it there, you can make it anywhere. It is the absolute truth. But it took a lot of work, man, and it was a lot of behind the scenes. People don't see the extra work from the working out, the running, the lifting of weights. And when I got older and I had Osi Umenyiora and Justin Tuck, Dave Tollefs and Fred and all these guys and Barry, all these young guys there, I'm the old man
Yeah.
and they didn't make me feel young. They told me you old. You know what I'm saying?
See,
Old
but
man, we gonna kick you out the league. That's what
hey,
they used to tell me.
they may have called
And
you the
so
old
for
man, but I
me,
know they respected you, Mike. They respected everything that you
oh
brought to
no,
the
it was
table.
nothing. You know how your friends can call you old and you know it's nothing but love and respect, but they used to do it with love and respect, but they still called me old man. And I was what, 35, 36. But they didn't realize that when they would go home, I had to go in the weight room extra. I would have to sit in the ice tub. I would have to do all these things and watch so much film to almost be over prepared in a lot of ways. so that I could maintain and keep up with what my expectations were for myself, what their expectations were for me, and just to be play at a level so that Tuck didn't come in and take my job. And I always wanted to stay with one team, and I always wanted to leave the NFL when I was ready to leave. And I was lucky enough to be able to do that throughout my career, which is a blessing.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned those young guys that looked up to you and they pushed you, calling you that old man. And so, I want to go back to before you were at the New York Football Giants, but you got to play with him for at least one season, and that's Lawrence Taylor. And we know what he brought to the table on a daily basis, that aggression,
Yep.
that attitude, but just going out there and just laying it out there every weekend. What was that like, using him as a mentor and you coming in as the new guy and seeing him play?
Well, CNLT was crazy. I remember being in college, Texas Southern University. Eric, this is before your time, but we had these thing called VHS tapes.
Come on,
And
man. I remember VHS tapes. Come on now. I'm not that young.
so we had the VHS tapes, and I had one on the New York Giants and Lawrence Taylor. And I just remember him sacking, oh, son. He telling the quarterback, oh, son, y'all got to do better than this. Or he's on the sideline. He's like, let's go out here like a pack of crazy dogs and have some fun. Like, LT was a football god to me. And I get drafted by the Giants, and the first thought in my mind was, why? They got LT. You don't need me, and it's cold up there, man. I don't want to freeze. So walking in the locker room or being in the locker room, rookies are getting their physicals, and we'd already been there working out for like a week or so, and all the vets are coming in for their physicals, and no one entered the room like LT. He walked in the room, and he didn't walk. He was on like one of those conveyor belts at the airport. It just you glide in. He's like he was standing there, but he was moving. I mean, he was just so it was so overwhelming to see someone that had all the respect in the world for come into the room, and he lived up to it as a teammate. Give you the shirt off his back, even as a rookie, including us. He included us in things, even as a rookie, and watching him prepare helped me throughout my career, and they helped keep my career going because when he was in practice and on the field for defensive reps, 100 mile per hour every rep. He did not loaf. He did not slack. He did not say, well, I'm Lawrence Taylor. No. He went 100 miles per hour every time. And as I watched him, I'm thinking, if this is the greatest player in the history of football, especially on the defensive side of the ball, if that's what he's doing, I really got to turn it up. And so playing with LT, there's stories I can't tell about playing with LT off the field, stuff. But when I tell you what a great teammate, what a great guy now, who I still have the fortunate enough to still spend some time with here and there, and I just takes me back to being a kid watching him play, and I realized how fortunate I was to see it up close.
And I want to go back to being a kid. Like, you played 1 year of high school football. You're the youngest of 6 siblings. You moved to Germany, and then you go to an HBCU at Texas Southern, as you just mentioned. Talk about how football got introduced into your life and how you were able to use that to obviously make it to the NFL, but make a nice living for yourself, and only playing 1 year of high school football and living in Germany. I know your dad is in the Army base. A lot of times you don't hear stories like that. So tell me about your football journey and becoming who you were, being able to go to that, like I said, that HBCU at Texas Southern, and then on to the NFL.
My football journey was luck. That's what it was. I mean, I played in North Carolina. My dad was a paratrooper in 82nd Airborne Division, so I spent a lot of time in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, and I was there. I played football when I was 7 and 8 years old. And when I was seven, I played defensive end. When I was 8, I played offensive tackle. And then we moved to Germany. And in Germany, I really didn't play. My dad retired. We lived off base. I didn't go to the American high school anymore. But I watched football on TV. I would tape it. Monday night was Tuesday morning football, so I would tape it and then watch it later. I would do anything I could to see highlights of football games because there's only one channel there, AFN, Armed Forces Network. And my senior year of high school, like I was 13 years old. I was not my senior year, but when I was 13 years old, I was a little chunky. I call myself big boned. Well, I was a
Big
big
bone.
bone kid. Yeah, a big bone kid. And my brother's been as young as 6, like you said. They used to make fun of me, man, call me Bob. And I'm like, Bob? I thought it was cool though. Like little brother gets a nickname, you figure you're cool. Until one of their friends told me that Bob meant booty on back, big old butt. I was like, all right. I cried, man. 13 years old, I cried like a baby. But
Oh
then I went
man.
out and bought the Jane Fonda VHS tape. And I literally would do Jane Fonda workouts all the time to work my butt off. And then that's when like Herschel Walker was coming out of Georgia and they talked about push-ups and sit-ups. So I would do push-ups and sit-ups all day. And my dad saw this and he said, hey, I'll work out with you every day at the gym or whatever. So he bought Muscle and Fitness magazines. He would print out workouts on his computer because computers were pretty new back then. And we would go to the gym and write down how much weight you did, how many reps, like I keep a program. And I did that with my dad for 3 or 4 years until I was 17 years old. And I was a senior. And my dad said, you know what? You want to play football? I'm thinking, yeah, I'll play. You're going to send me to the American school to play. He said, no, I'm sending you to Houston. You'll stay with your uncle. You'll get a scholarship. And then you go play football in college. And I was so naive about how hard it was supposed to be that I was like, okay, and that's exactly what happened. Went back to Houston, played Westbury High School. I was only there for 5 months because I
Wow.
went back to Germany and graduated high school after I signed my scholarship in December. And then I came back to TSU and wanted to quit. My dad told me I couldn't. And that's when I realized that I had to, man up and to handle my life for myself and not depend on mom and dad to completely change my mindset that if I have to do something, football, I couldn't go back home to my parents. Why just go through the motions of doing anything? A little bit of extra effort can make you the best that you can be at it. Not saying you'll be the best ever, but the best that you can be at it. So I just did everything I could with the most effort that I could, and it turned into a 15-year career with the Giants. But I always say this, and it's very true. My dad never said if to me. He only said when to me. So he would say something. He would say, well, when you go to the pros and when you get a scholarship, when you're an all pro, when you win the Super Bowl, like my dad would say when to everything that happened in my life. And I look back now and it just really blows my mind that he had the foresight to not let his child doubt himself. Because if you say if, that's a doubt. If you say when, it's a cup of believe that it's going to happen
That's
when
right.
it's meant to happen.
See that's awesome. Just being able to have that instilled in you from that young age. It was always when you expected these things to happen. As you said,
Yeah.
you were naive to the fact of it. But hey, playing 1 year of high school, getting a scholarship, that ain't normal. You know what I mean? That's like a normal thing to
It's not.
happen.
But I didn't know, Eric. Like I didn't know. I thought it was normal. Like I had no idea that that's not normal. So people talking to me about it now. I'm like, oh, who doesn't do that? But I think also the great thing is not growing up thinking that football was the everything in my life. That when I retired from football, I'd already started football so late that I'd already developed an idea and an identity that I wanted to do something else. So when football was over, it was a tough transition, but I knew that I could do other things. Like I didn't just think as a 7-year old kid that I'm going to be a football player and that's all my life is going to be. I knew that football worked out for me, but that I had the ability to do other things because I came to the game so late. I didn't just depend on football.
Absolutely. And then go into an HBCU, and we see now a lot of recognition and notoriety is being put
Yeah.
on them, and that's amazing to see. Obviously, we know Deion Sanders just recently at Jackson State University, moving on to Colorado. What was it like for
Yeah.
you playing back in the the 80s and the 90s for an HBCU, and now where do you see the progress that has happened over the past 30 so years?
Well, it was crazy. It was crazy, and it was different. Like what you see now is completely, in a lot of ways, different because of the notoriety of it. But HBCU still need a lot of help. HBCU still need a lot of financing, and in every way, and not just for football programs or whatever it may be, but schools in general. And you have some great, smart students who have come out of HBCUs, some great athletes that came out of HBCUs, and from Deacon Jones to to Steve McNair to myself. There's just so many Hall of Famers: Mel Blount, Walter Payton, who have come out of Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State, and you can't diminish the role that HBCUs have played in developing young men, but also in developing a lot of talent that's gone on to help build the NFL. But I just think that for me, watching HBCU football games on ESPN and on ESPN1, which I've done the last few years, has been unbelievable because that has never happened like that before. The consistency of the games to always be on, it just wasn't there. I played in one game on TV, thinking my football career, and that was on BET against Jackson State for their homecoming. But being on BET for us was like being on Monday Night
I
Football
know
with
that's
Troy Aikman
right.
and Joe Buck calling the game. Like it was like we ready to go. And so that was we bust everywhere. We didn't. We took a plane my senior year. We flew to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Reno. Other than that, we took a bus from Texas to Florida, Texas to Mississippi, Texas to Alabama, Texas to Louisiana. I mean, everywhere in between, we were busing. So I wasn't spoiled. And I think HBCU players understand how much of a struggle it is. And when we get an opportunity in the NFL, most guys, you're going to get the best out of them. But I just love the progress in the sense that players know that they have other options outside of a Power Five school, and that these games will be seen and that they will be seen because I'm a believer that if you're talented, these teams will find you if your goal is to take it to the next level in the NFL. And that's what scouts are for. That's their job is to find talent, and there's a lot of talent at HBCUs. And for Dion, for the future, I hope that somebody can carry the legacy that the interest and the energy that Dion brought to HBCUs. And I know he got a lot of criticism for, well, he's supposed to stay there, he's supposed to do this, he's supposed to do that. But as he said, if you stay in one place too stagnant, you die. You got to keep moving. You got to keep evolving. And Dion's thing is kids. Dion wants to help kids. Dion wants to do better by these kids. Dion wants to create success and let everyone know that you can aspire for great things and you can achieve them. And what he did at Jackson State is unlike what I've seen anybody do at any program. And I just hope that the new coach at Jackson State, like coaches at other programs, realize the energy and the care and the love that he put into it for these kids, and they can do the same and keep this thing going. Everything can't fall on one man.
How do you balance everything that you have going on with the relationships in your life with your family, your children,
Mm.
your work life, coaches, friends? How do you maintain a healthy balance of relationships with them all with all the responsibilities that you do have?
Well, I think it's time management. Like I got a great team around me, and they'll shut me down, or I'll tell them when I need to shut down. But every night I'm home. My youngest kids are my twin daughters who are 18 now, and I realize they'll be in college in the next year. So I'm trying to get as much time with them. But we eat at home. We eat dinner at home at the table as a family every night. Same thing that I did when I was a kid, and just those little moments of conversation are important. And if I am out late and we don't have dinner before I go to bed, I always go to the rooms to have a conversation about their day, like what's going on, what happened, how was your day, and throughout the day, it's very important. Whenever someone pops up and pops into my mind, I just text them, "How you doing?" Because maybe they popped into my mind because something maybe I thought of, but maybe that's God's way of telling me that maybe they need somebody just to show that they're thinking of them. And so I just try to stay constant in the lives of the people that are important to me, and stay constant, especially in the lives of my kids, and let them know that I love them, obviously, and I'm here for them. But I'm excited for them to go to college, not just for me, but for them to like grow, man. I'm not want to be one of these. I don't want to be one of these parents that's living next door to my kids when they go to college. Like, let them live.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And that's the perfect transition. So we want to thank our sponsors over at the Teachers Insurance Plan of New Jersey, Plymouth Rock Insurance. And we want to highlight educators and teachers for what they do on a daily basis for our youth and bringing them up and molding these young men and women into the people that they're going to be for the future. So is there any special educator, teacher that you had in your life that helped shape your life in any sorts of way to becoming who you are today?
Yes, Miss Brenda Brewer. I'll never forget Miss Brewer. She was in Germany, and I graduated high school at Mannheim Christian Academy. I was second in my class, which was impressive. But there were only two people in my class. Myself, yeah, myself and Julie Johnson. Yes, and like, ladies first. So I was second in my class. But Miss Brewer was awesome because it was such a small little private school, and I went back to Houston and experienced a big high school. I hated it. So I went back and graduated high school there and got a chance to spend time with my family, which is the real reason I was homesick. And she just made me understand and feel authentically me. She let me be me. She challenged me and pushed me, but always made me feel like I was smart enough and good enough as a student to be successful. And I couldn't have thought of and couldn't think of a better teacher who I needed at that time more than Miss Brewer. And yeah, always got one teacher who's always stood out and really just was kind. And she was that teacher for me when I needed it the most.
Well, she gave you the chance, and that's all we can ask for. And Michael, I just want to thank you for your time, for being our first guest on the Couple Believe podcast. You've always been an inspiration to me and a brother to me, so I appreciate you doing this and coming on and just sharing a little bit about your life and just dropping some gems on us. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate you. You're my brother, and I love you, my man.
Eric, I love you too, man. Anytime you need me, you let me know. And if there's anybody who believes, it's you. You've made me proud to be your friend and feel fortunate to be your friend. I'm always here for a cup of believe, baby. Get
That's
yours.
right.
Right.
Thank you, Mike. Much love to you.
All right, man.
Thank you for listening to A Couple Believe. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all audio platforms.